Have you ever felt like Christmas has lost its sparkle? Maybe, instead of the magic it once held, you see this season as just another hectic time, filled with commitments and endless to-do lists. The truth is, for many families, the Christmas spirit gradually fades away, buried by daily routines and pressures. And that's exactly what happened to the Andersons. But something extraordinary was about to change their lives. In this touching story, you will discover how a series of unexpected events led a family to rediscover the true meaning of Christmas. It's not about expensive gifts or extravagant parties. What the Andersons uncovered was something much deeper, a lesson we can all apply, not just during the holidays, but every day of our lives. Get ready to laugh, cry, and be inspired by a narrative that shows that even in the toughest times, there's room for miracles. Follow each step of their journey and see how small gestures, simple moments, and genuine connections can reignite the magic of Christmas and renew your life. What if I told you that the transformation the Andersons experienced could happen to you too? Stick with us and see how this story might be the beginning of something special in your own life. The Andersons weren't just any family. Jack, the father, was a practical man, always with his phone in hand and a spreadsheet open. Sarah, the mother, skillfully balanced household chores with a part-time job, but sometimes the exhaustion was visible in her eyes. And the kids? Lily, at 12, was immersed in fantasy books, while Ethan, at 9, spent hours in front of his video games. It was a lively home, but also a silent one, the kind of silence that comes when people are too busy to talk. Christmas used to be magical for them. There was a time when lights twinkled all around the house. The smell of freshly baked cookies filled the air, and the sound of laughter echoed through the rooms. But that seemed like a distant memory. Now, December came and went quietly, like any other month. The Christmas tree, a small decoration forgotten in the corner of the living room. Jack always said, maybe next year we'll do something special. Sarah nodded in agreement. But deep down they both knew that next year was unlikely to come. The hustle and bustle of everyday life felt like a thief, stealing not just time, but the very essence of life. And amidst all this, the miracle that was Christmas was lost from sight. For Lily, Christmas still held a spark of enchantment. She dreamed of seeing the family gathered, singing songs, and exchanging gifts like they used to. Ethan, on the other hand, struggled to remember what it was like to experience that magic. He saw Christmas as just another date, marked by toy commercials on TV and nothing more. The siblings, though different, shared the same unspoken wish for something to bring back the sparkle of those times. And despite everything, the Christmas spirit seemed to leave traces in small gestures. Every now and then, Sarah would hang a stocking by the fireplace, more out of habit than desire. Jack, without realizing it, would hum Christmas tunes in traffic. It was as if a part of them still wanted to believe that Christmas had something special to offer, but they didn't know where to start. There's something curious about how destiny works. Often, it plants seeds at moments when no one is paying attention. For the Andersons, that seed was about to sprout in a way they could never have imagined. Maybe it was a sign, or maybe just a coincidence. But that year would be different. Somehow, they were on the path to something greater, even if they didn't know it yet. What could awaken the Christmas miracle in the Andersons' lives? Something was coming, something that would change everything. But before that could happen, they would need to face the shadows that had dimmed the glow of this special time. And in the process, they might rediscover something much more valuable than they ever imagined. The Andersons' Christmas traditions had once been the beating heart of their home. Jack and Sarah always took pride in creating special memories for their children, but the days when they decorated the tree together or baked gingerbread cookies felt like stories from another time. The boxes of ornaments remained closed in the attic, covered in a layer of dust that seemed to symbolize the growing distance between them and the Christmas spirit. Over the years, routine became a relentless enemy. Jack plunged into work, always chasing a promotion or an important contract, while Sarah juggled her job and household duties. Lily, now a preteen, preferred the quiet refuge of her books, while Ethan, already accustomed to the absence of celebrations, found solace in digital games. The house still had voices, but they rarely found the same tone. It was hard to pinpoint exactly when Christmas lost its sparkle. Maybe it was that time Jack arrived too late to help set up the tree, or when Sarah decided that buying a store-bought cake would be more practical than baking one from scratch. Small deviations, accumulated over the years, turned into a chasm. What was once a moment of togetherness became an optional event, lacking the same meaning. The drift away from traditions also brought small cracks in their relationships. Lily missed the shared moments, but hid it behind a facade of early maturity. Ethan, though younger, had already adopted an indifferent attitude, as if Christmas was something reserved for TV commercials. Jack and Sarah, even without admitting it, felt the weight of this absence, but the cycle seemed hard to break. There were times when Sarah would look at the Christmas decorations in store windows and feel a pang of nostalgia, followed by guilt. She wondered if she had failed to keep alive the magic that once defined their family. Jack, on his part, sometimes found an old Christmas card or a forgotten ornament and felt a tightness in his chest. But he quickly returned to the whirlwind of responsibilities. Although time seemed like an enemy, there was a subtle resistance within each of them. A memory here, a longing there, small sparks that refused to be extinguished. It was as if, somewhere, there was still a timid hope that traditions could be revived, that the Christmas miracle could still be felt. And then, the unexpected was about to happen. An event no one could have predicted would arise to shake their lives and ignite a spark. What was in store for the Andersons in the days to come? Something was behind the curtains of destiny, waiting for the right moment to transform everything. That year, something unusual happened, something none of the Andersons could have foreseen. It was a typical December afternoon, and Jack was at the office when he received an unexpected phone call. On the other end of the line, a serious voice informed him about company layoffs. He, who had always prided himself on being the provider, suddenly found himself without the job that supported the family's comfort. The news hit like a bomb, silent but devastating. While Jack tried to process the impact, Sarah faced another surprise at home. Her distant sister, Laura, called asking for a place to stay for a few weeks. Laura was a figure from the past, full of stories, but she also carried heavy emotional baggage. Despite initial hesitation, Sarah felt she couldn't refuse. The invitation was extended, and Laura arrived carrying suitcases and a secret that, at first glance, no one suspected. The children were also affected by the unexpected, though in a less direct way. Lily, who loved a quiet routine, found herself sharing her space with an aunt who brought a peculiar chaos to the house. Ethan, always wary, found Laura's lively and sometimes enigmatic behavior strange. But there was something about her presence that, in a subtle way, began to shake the family's dynamics. Gradually, tension started to build. Jack struggled with feelings of inadequacy, trying to keep a smile for the kids while secretly sending out resumes. Sarah, between managing the household and dealing with Laura's presence, found herself stretched to the limit. And Laura, with her irreverent energy, seemed to provoke both discomfort and laughter. The atmosphere was tense but also alive, as if something was thawing after years of silence. One day, while everyone was gathered in the living room, Laura shared a story. She talked about a Christmas from her childhood when, despite financial hardships, her family found joy in simple acts like singing around an improvised tree. The children listened attentively, something they hadn't done in a long time. Jack and Sarah exchanged glances, as if a forgotten door had been opened. Though no one realized it at the time, that event was a catalyst for something greater. Laura's words, her presence, and even the challenge posed by Jack's job loss were planting seeds. Something was changing, but the transformation was still in its early stages. It was as if the Christmas miracle was beginning to take shape, in a silent and unpredictable way. What would they do with this unexpected awakening? Would it be enough to change the family's course? As questions hung in the air, the days ahead promised answers and new challenges. After years of emotional distance, something unexpected happened that Saturday morning. Laura, with her contagious energy, suggested that everyone go out to buy a Christmas tree. "What a great idea," Jack said with a sarcastic smile, while Sarah raised her eyebrows. However, before they could protest, the kids got excited. Lily wanted to choose the decorations, and Ethan wanted to make sure the lights blinked, like in the movies. Unknowingly, the Andersons took the first step towards something that would change their lives. At the market, chaos was inevitable. Jack got caught up in a debate about which tree was the sturdiest, while Laura laughed loudly as she draped a garland around Ethan's neck. Lily, with her keen eye, scrutinized each decoration as if her life depended on it. It was complete chaos, but strangely, a joyful chaos. For the first time in years, they were together, sharing moments that would become great stories in the future. Back home, the mission to set up the tree began. Sarah, who hadn't laughed in weeks, was giggling as Jack struggled with the tangled lights. Ethan and Lily argued about which star to place on top, while Laura played a Christmas song on her phone. The atmosphere was lively, filled with laughter, minor disagreements, and above all, an energy that seemed to bring something new, a glimpse of what Christmas could truly mean. But it didn't stop there. Inspired by Laura, Sarah suggested they visit a local community event. "Nothing big, just to see what it's like," she said, trying to sound casual. There, they found a small Christmas fair full of handmade crafts and live music. Jack, reluctant at first, ended up helping Ethan choose a gift for Lily. And Lily, moved, picked up a small ornament that said, "Family is the greatest gift." It was simple, but deeply meaningful. It was gradually that community activities became a point of connection. They participated in a charity bingo night, helped put together baskets for families in need, and even sang a Christmas song at the community center. It wasn't just about what they were doing, but how it made them feel. The Andersons were rediscovering what truly mattered, even if it was in a clumsy and imperfect way. A particularly touching moment happened when Ethan, always reserved, decided to donate some of his toys to children in need. "I don't use these anymore, and someone might need them more than I do," he said with a shy smile. This touched Jack and Sarah's hearts, and they exchanged glances, visibly moved. It was as if a new tradition was being born, one that carried not only the Christmas spirit, but also the miracle of a fresh start. Despite the progress, challenges were still on the horizon. Not everything was resolved, and the journey to rediscover Christmas was just beginning. But now, there was something different, a flicker of hope shining in the Anderson household. What awaited them in the coming days? Only time would tell. Even with the Christmas spirit starting to revive, the Andersons' journey was far from easy. The new routine brought unexpected challenges, and not everyone was entirely convinced by the transformation. Jack, still pressured by his job search, often found himself wondering if the effort to rescue Christmas was really worth it. "This isn't going to pay the bills," he muttered, trying to balance the family's optimism with the harsh reality. Sarah, on the other hand, was facing her own internal battle. Although she was happy to see the family becoming more united, the prolonged presence of Laura brought old tensions to the surface. Small comments or careless gestures reignited wounds they both would rather forget. Still, Laura, with her awkwardly optimistic energy, continued to inspire moments of joy, even when unintentionally. Lily, with her early leadership spirit, tried to keep the mood light, but sometimes felt overwhelmed. "Why do I always have to be the adult here?" she vented one night to Sarah, who, not knowing what to say, simply hugged her. Ethan, meanwhile, still had moments of resistance. He liked the new activities, but the change seemed too big to process. "This is just a phase, right?" he asked himself, as if he didn't want to cling to the new reality. Differences in opinion also created minor frictions. During an attempt to bake Christmas cookies, Jack insisted on following the recipe to the letter, while Laura wanted to improvise with different ingredients. The result was a chaotic kitchen and an argument that ended with laughter, but also a slight discomfort that no one wanted to address directly. It was as if the past and present were still learning to coexist. Additionally, time was a constant adversary. With Christmas approaching, there always seemed to be more things to do than hours in the day. Sarah struggled to stay organized, while Jack felt he could never truly be present. "We're trying to create magic with the few minutes we have," he joked once, not realizing how true the metaphor was. And as if that wasn't enough, there was a lingering doubt in the air. Would all these efforts actually lead to something meaningful? Or would it just be another failed attempt to salvage something that was already lost? This uncertainty was an invisible but powerful obstacle, testing each family member's determination. But like in every good story, challenges often hide the greatest lessons. And without knowing it, the Andersons were preparing for a moment that would change everything. Something was about to happen, something that would make every effort worthwhile. On Christmas Eve, something unexpected happened in the Anderson household. The plan was simple, a modest dinner and a moment together in the living room. But things took a different turn. Ethan, who always seemed more reserved about Christmas, asked to speak. He held a small folded piece of paper, his hands slightly trembling. "I wrote something. I wanted to share it with you," he said, his voice a bit shaky but full of sincerity. As everyone watched him, Ethan began to read. It was a letter addressed to his family. He spoke about how he missed simple moments, like setting up the tree or watching Christmas movies together. He admitted that for a long time, he believed those things didn't matter, but now he realized how much they meant. When he finished, his eyes were watery and the room, silent, seemed filled with something greater: understanding. Lily, who rarely showed her emotions, was the first to react. She stood up and hugged her brother without saying a word. Jack and Sarah, deeply touched, exchanged glances as if something had finally clicked into place. Even Laura, always so lively, stayed quiet, watching the scene with an emotional smile. It was as if, for the first time in years, the family was truly connected. That moment opened the door for a conversation that had been stuck for a long time. Jack confessed that with the job loss, he was afraid of not being enough for the family. Sarah admitted that sometimes she felt like she was just going through the motions, not really living. Even Laura revealed the reason for her stay: a tough decision to start over after a messy divorce. Every word spoken was like a brick removed from an invisible wall that separated them. As if the universe was conspiring, the power went out shortly after. In the dark, armed only with candles, the Andersons began singing Christmas songs. It was a spontaneous decision, but it brought an unexpected magic. Off-key voices and laughter seemed to fill the room with warmth. For the first time in a long time, Christmas had the essence of a miracle, even without lights or extravagant gifts. In the middle of the singing, Ethan looked toward the corner of the room and pointed to the Christmas tree. He swore he saw a light flicker, but no one else did. "Maybe it was a sign," Laura joked, winking at him. The boy smiled, as if he wanted to believe that, somehow, it was true. After all, the Christmas spirit has its ways, a mix of belief and magic that doesn't need an explanation. That night was different from all the others. There were no grand gestures or elaborate speeches, but the simple act of being together, vulnerable and connected, changed something inside each of them. They didn't know what the future held, but they knew they had each other. And in that moment, that was all that mattered. As the clock marked the arrival of Christmas, a question hung in the air. How would that moment shape the days to come? The answer was in the hands of the Anderson family, and the path they still had ahead of them. Christmas finally arrived, and in the Anderson household, there was a new energy in the air. The tree, decorated simply, seemed brighter than ever, but the true glow came from the people around it. For the first time in years, Jack, Sarah, Lily, Ethan, and Laura were together, not just physically, but emotionally connected. What began as a hesitant attempt to revive traditions turned into something much bigger, a fresh start. Jack, who once saw Christmas as a distraction from his responsibilities, now understood its true meaning. He realized that the moments spent with his family were more valuable than any professional achievement. Life gives us 1,000 reasons to drift apart, but it's our job to find a reason to come together, he said in a rare moment of reflection, placing a simple gift under the tree. Sarah, for her part, felt a deep sense of relief. She realized she didn't have to carry the weight of keeping the family united alone. Christmas taught her that sometimes all it takes is making space for people to express themselves and find their own reasons to connect. She smiled as she watched Ethan and Lily sharing old stories with Laura, as if the house had regained its soul. Lily and Ethan, despite their young ages, were the greatest catalysts. Ethan's letter and Lily's careful optimism brought a new dynamic to the family. They learned that Christmas isn't about the presents or decorations, but about truly being present. Life is kind of messy, but it's in that mess where we find miracles, Lily said in a phrase Sarah promised to keep forever. And Laura, the unexpected visitor, became an essential link in this transformation. Her arrival brought chaos, but also clarity. She showed the Andersons that the Christmas spirit isn't in perfect details, but in the imperfect moments that create lasting memories. As she said her goodbyes to follow her own path, she left a note. "You helped me remember who I am. Thank you for that." The most incredible thing was how this transformation touched each of them uniquely, yet also created a new collective strength. The Anderson family began adopting small traditions that resonated with their new vision of Christmas: a simple dinner, exchanging letters instead of expensive gifts, and an annual commitment to do something for those in need. They learned that the true miracle of Christmas was the life they shared, with all its ups and downs. As Christmas night drew to a close, Jack looked around and said something that stayed with everyone. This was the best Christmas ever because it was the most genuine. The phrase resonated in the family's hearts, like a promise that from then on, things would be different. And they were. The Andersons' journey wasn't just about rediscovering Christmas, but about rediscovering each other. They learned that even in tough times, it's possible to find something magical as long as you're willing to see it. And so, they left a message for everyone who knew them. It's never too late to start over. So, what does Christmas mean to you? Could it be that, like the Andersons, there's something dormant in your heart waiting to be rediscovered? The truth is, we all have the chance to create meaningful moments, transform our relationships, and make this season a milestone of change for life. But that transformation only begins when we take the first step. What's stopping you from making your next Christmas the most special one yet? What small gestures can you make today to reconnect with those you love? Maybe it's an unexpected phone call, a simple dinner, or even a heartfelt conversation. It's these seemingly small actions that have the power to create true miracles. Now, I challenge you. How will you transform your story starting today? Share your experience or what you plan to change in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this message touched you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join this journey of inspiration and transformation. Together, we can reclaim the true spirit of Christmas and spread its message of love and hope.